Hi everyone, Patrick here. Welcome to the new monthly project. The theme for this month is What If. It's a really fun theme, heavily inspired by the Marvel What If series. And the theme is all about picking a character and changing their story to a what if scenario. This can change their whole lives, their goals, what they even look like. A great example that Marvel did was if Peggy Carter became Captain America. So it was Captain Carter. And she was absolutely great in the series. So I'm making this theme quite broad for my patrons, and they can pick absolutely any character they like and just change their story and give them their own what if scenario. So let's get straight into it. I'm really excited to see what you guys have done. Each month I select 3 submissions to critique. So congrats to Dan, Patrick and Carl. I'm going to dive into those critiques towards the end of the video and give you some feedback. First up is Paul Cameron. I'm really excited about this one because this is just absolutely epic. I love this so much. What if Superman landed on an alternate Earth where humans and dinosaurs coexist and were at war? So this is a tech barbarian Superman. I'm in love with that design. I love the long hair, the ripped cape and the torn clothes, and you also got like a bit of tech in there. I really love that pose showing all his strength and especially the laser red eyes. You've outdone yourself, Paul. I really love this one. Absolutely amazing. Next up is Renee, and you've done 2 submissions here. What if Spider-Man became Captain America? That's a really cool design. I really love the idea of this. And you've also done a Venomized Moon Knight. That looks awesome. Really love that. I don't think I've ever seen a Venomized Moon Knight. Really love that design there. These are both really cool. Top quality work there, Renee. Next up is Jason. This looks awesome. What if young Bruce Wayne was given the power of Shazam after his parents were killed? This is such a cool idea, and I don't think it's been done before, so this is quite fresh. I especially love the Shazam logo merged with the bat symbol on his chest, the black bat. This is really cool, especially since it's a young Bruce Wayne, kind of like Billy Batson's Shazam is a kid who gets the power and turns into this big grown-up superhero. So I really like that idea. It can be back in time a little bit. Awesome work, Jason. Next up is Sai, and you've done Bucky as Captain America. And this is classic Bucky. That's a really cool suit. I love the action pose here as well. You're always putting out great work, Sai. I love this one. Bucky would make a great Captain America. Alright, next up is Paul. And you've done What if Mary Jane was bitten by the spider and became a Spider-Woman? And this is awesome because you've taken that classic scene from Spider-Man 1, the movie, and flipped it around. So you've got MJ doing the kiss this time. I love that. This is really cool. That'd make for a great cover as well. I really like that setup. Alright, next up is Virgilio. And this is what if Harry Potter joined Slytherin instead of Gryffindor? And he's definitely looking quite evil here, or really bad. He's got that cursed magic swirling around. This is a really cool one. I love the idea of this. And next up is Abby. And what if Black Cat became a Ravenger? And Ravengers are from Guardians of the Galaxy, where Star-Lord joined the team there of the Ravengers. And Black Cat here has been a part of the team, going around space, stealing all different kinds of things. I could see Thanos' gauntlet there. She's stolen that, along with the Tesseract. Really cool idea on this. I love it. Great art too, Abby. This is cool. Alright, next up is Lucas. And this is what if Doc Ock was a nice guy and actually mentored Peter Parker? And I guess making him this suit. Really cool suit. I love that crossover there. This is great. Those mechanical tentacles there. Very cool suit design. This is just such a great idea. I really like that. I love the thought process behind this. Great work there, Lucas. And next up is Kenny. And what if the Joker got his hands on some of the Venom serum from Bane? He's looking really huge there, bulked out. I really like that. That'd be a pretty crazy scenario. Love that visual there. And you've also done a second entry there. What if Yoda became the Sith Lord? That is crazy. He's looking really cool there, really dark. He's definitely on the dark side there. Evil Yoda. That's crazy. These are great, Kenny. Really cool work there. Looks like you had a lot of fun with those. Okay, it's time to dive into the critiques now. And first up is Dan. This is really cool. So it's what if, in the world of Monsters Inc., 18 years later, Boo returned to the monster world to catch up with an older Sully. So that's a really cool idea. I like your artwork. You've done a really good job of this. Now, as for some feedback, I feel like there's too much of a different style between her and Sully. So you see how it's mainly the fur. So you see how the fur is looking very realistic, but then she's got a very cartoony kind of style, or comic book style, I should say. Okay, so I'm just going to start with some outlines to really hold him together, and that'll match what she looks like as well, because she's held together with some black outlines as well. So there we go, there's some outlines to hold Sully together, and I just think I prefer that than the original kind of faded look with the realistic fur. Now let's try and get some rendering on him as well, on that fur. To get a head start, I'm actually going to use your fur, but put a filter over it in Photoshop, and that'll kind of, I'm trying to get a cell shaded kind of look here. So playing around with the cutout filter, see if that'll, yeah, there we go. That'll give me a really good head start. And that's breaking it down into levels for me. So you can see the difference there in the original to now already. And this is the approach that I would have taken from the start. But basically now that I've got a head start, I'm going to sample, holding Alt, I'm going to sample each of these tones when I need them. So I'm going to start with this one and then just brush a kind of, comic style in of the fur. And then if I want to get a lighter color, I'll sample that lighter one, as you see, and just kind of start brushing it through. So as I'm going through, I'm really thinking about each strand of hair flowing, and I know it takes a long time, but it really is worth it in the end. You get a much better look. Really sets with the scene and the overall consistency of the characters together. So I'm really breaking them down into about 3 different shaded levels. So there we go. In the end, I've got something like this, and I'll show you a comparison. But I think what we need to do is actually a little bit more color or saturation on him. So I'm going to color balance and really play around with more blues and that darker blue as well. There we go, something like that, and I'll just put an overall saturation on him as well, probably +10. And I think that'll really fix it all. So there we go. Now they match. I'll have a look and show you a before and after. So before and then after. You can see the difference there. I really think that it would work a lot better if they are the same kind of style, the same kind of art style. And yeah, the fur is very tricky, but I highly recommend breaking it down into cell shaded levels like this and just, using your brush to go through and make every single strand. I probably spent about 20 minutes maybe on it, so it's not too bad. So yeah, there we go. I hope that helps, and awesome work, Dan. I think that's great, and thank you so much for your submission. All right, next up is Carl, and you've done What If the Fantastic Four's mutated powers were altered from the cosmic rays? So their powers are drastically different here. I really like the spin on that. That's cool. So the Thing is no longer solid. He's really soft and gooey. The Human Torch is no longer flames. He's now ice. Mr. Fantastic is no longer stretchy. He's now steel, which is really cool. And Susan Storm looks like she's kind of stormy, to be honest. The way you've done these clouds like violently whipping around looks very stormy and very mystical and magical. It looks awesome. Yeah, that's a really good take on these characters. Now, as for the critique, I feel like overall my main gripe with this is probably just the composition, or the layout I should say. So I'm going to do some rearranging, and I feel like we could come up with a better setup. And I'm just laying out a little grid here. This is called the rule of thirds, and this is a really good tip for photographers and artists as well when you're laying out a composition or picture. And basically the idea of rule of thirds is you want to have interesting things where these little corners meet. Around this area is a really good spot. There we go. So I'd probably do something like this. This is just what I recommend. You can kind of see the grid there. And Mr. Fantastic, his face is around that area, which is a good spot. Her face is around there. And I also flipped her head. So she's actually looking this way now. And I think that works better with the arm stretched out. And because before, I feel like she had her arm stretched out, but she's looking the other way. And I thought it would just work better if she was aiming at something. So thing is also up here in this kind of corner where the interesting point is. And then up the back there, I feel like he works pretty well there. So overall, composition-wise, I feel like they work a little bit better. So before and then after, I'll just move that grid. Before and after, just a little more close together. I did flip thing as well. So that 4 is now back to front. And yeah, Mr. Fantastic's now up closer. His fist is now a little bigger. And I don't know, I just feel like the arrangement might work a little more. Because before, I feel like Thing was just a little too close to the left here, like touching the side. Same with her, they're a little too far away from each other. So yeah, just a little bit of rearranging, I reckon, would fix things. The last thing that I wanted to bring up was probably just a few anatomy issues. I'll focus on Susan Storm here. Just with her body and the stance there, I feel like there's just a few things. I really wanted to lift up the chest a little bit more, maybe poke it out a little bit more heroic. She's slightly turned a little bit more. And that outstretched arm as well, I really just feel like that forearm needs to come back a little bit. And you need to make sure that that shoulder is actually bulging up a little bit to go with that kind of aiming arm there. So just a few proportion issues there I just fixed up. And I also wanted to just mention, I feel like you may need to just refine your fists and your hands a little bit more. But I would like to see them done a little bit better. So I just have the thumb folding over the fingers like this. You can have your finger come out there and focus on the knuckles at this angle. I think that elbow might need to go back further. And then I'll poke that shoulder out up a little bit higher. I think he needs a little bit more shoulder room. And definitely you need to be able to see the join there where the shoulder actually starts and comes down. So I kind of treat it like a ball there on the side of the pec. So you can have the pec kind of come up here. Something like that. So I'll just mention as well with the... But yeah, a good tip for fists, especially at this angle. So let's try that again. Basically draw the outside of it first and just start with a shape, right? And the general shape of that fist at that angle is something like that, okay? And there's the bottom palm. So good thing that I like to do is find the knuckle line. So there's the knuckle lines, and they never go straight like this, all right? When you do a fist right now and clench it as hard as you can see the pinky actually sways in and down more. So I like to make a little swooping motion like this. So I'll draw that thumb in that folds over. So now you can see, and then I'll start drawing each of those fingers one by one. So I have to actually draw the finger joints. So there's one, the next one goes down, and then the little part of it will fold under like that, okay? So this part here is here. So I'm going to draw that part of that. You can start to shape the knuckles in once you draw in those lines of the fingers. So I'm drawing the knuckles in now above them, and I'll erase those parts there. So kind of like that. And then we'll draw the other parts of the fingers that come down, and you barely see that part there, but that's kind of how I would do it. And then tuck that little pinky part under, and then you also have a little fold of skin that gets tucked under there. This is the palm. You can start to shade a bit under here if we want to. So I'll round those knuckles off so you know where the knuckles are. But you see that swooping motion of the knuckle joints, and I find that that's a really good way to kind of think about hands. And here at this angle, we can focus on drawing those knuckles in first. So I like to do little lines like that, and then have each of those fingers, come off those knuckle lines, and then flatten off the edge of those fingers. And let's have the other main finger there. But this knuckle here, the thumb, is almost, looks like it's coming up the side here. So that thumb really needs to go around the front of the fingers there that are folding over. So that'll be where the thumb will go. And then you'll have it join off to the knuckle part and then in. Something like that. So yeah, really want to have that thumb really wrap around that part of the fist there. Whereas before it's kind of resting on the side. So I just thought I'd mention that as well. Same over here, the fist here, it looks like the thumb is tucking inside of the fingers there. So we really need to just adjust a few things here and there. But I feel like that would be a good way to try and do the fist back there as well. So I Hope that helps. Same over here with things hand. I feel like if we had that more of a open clenching kind of hand, it'd be really cool. And just refine it, really make sure it's clear, and that'll just top off this piece so much. And yeah, it'll be super polished. It'll be really good. So I'll hide those, and that's the kind of composition I would really like to see. I think that works really well. Let's have a look at before and after. And yeah, all right. Thanks, Carl. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your submission. Okay, now we're up to the last critique. This is from Patrick. And you've done, what if Mary Jane was bitten by the spider instead of Peter Parker? And here she is all suited up, climbing up the wall. Looks awesome. Really love your artwork, and you've got a really good way of capturing like lifelike likenesses. I just love your faces, and yeah, everything here. The anatomy's looking really good. I feel like it might just be something with the posture that needs adjusting. So mainly just with her backside area. I just feel like it was poking out a little bit too much to the left. So I'm just trying to smooth that out a little bit and just make it feel a little bit more natural. And overall, I'm just trying to make her feel a little bit more relaxed. I feel like there's a little bit of stiffness to her posture. And just a few little tweaks, like near the shoulder area, where the traps are, the part that joins with the neck and the shoulder. I just want a little bit more thickness in that. And those little tweaks will make all the difference here. So there we go. I'll just zoom in a little bit. So here's the comparison. So before and after. Just a little bit more relaxed in the pose, basically. And yeah, see what I mean about up here in the shoulders. So before and after. I feel it just needs a little bit more weight in that area. And that's about it. And then I feel like the background is just a little bit too plain in the way of just that big brick wall. So I'd really love to make things more interesting, mix it up a little bit, and also adding a lot of intensity to that height, making it feel like she's really high up. And that'll add a lot more drama to the piece. So I'm basically rearranging the perspective of that wall so it's more flat and side on, which means I'm going to have to rearrange where Peter Parker actually is in the window. So I'm changing the perspective to all of that. And I'm still going to have him kind of leaning out. He's a little bit closer to her, but behind. And I feel like this would probably work a little bit more. So I've just put like a generic city backdrop down in the bottom there. And yeah, and a nice sky. And I feel like this is going to really open it up and make it a way more interesting piece. So this is what I've ended up with. And all we have to do now is just make things work a little bit more. So one thing that I want to talk about with your work is I feel like you just need more contrast overall in your artwork. So things seem to be a little bit dim, a little dark on the darker side. So what I would probably do is you can just, let's just say your work's finished the way you usually do it. I would probably just flatten your characters, maybe do an overall levels on the whole character. So I'm going to just rise up the midtones a bit and play around with the highlights. And already I feel like she's starting to pop more. So that's really all your work needs. So the shadows will stay where they are. I wouldn't play around with them. Don't bring them up too dense. Maybe just a tiny bit. But it's really all about your highlights and overall contrast to your characters. So that's before and that's after. So see what I mean? I'd really love to just lighten them up a little bit. And I'll do the same to Peter. So I'm going to go levels, lighten up the midtones and the highlights. And there we go. That's really, that contrast is really good now. So the before and after there. Another thing that I want to try, I'm not sure if you've got Photoshop, but there's a camera raw filter, which I really love. And in here, you can actually play around with a lot of different things. I like clarity and texture as well. And you can really bring those up a bit. It basically sharpens it more and, I don't know, makes it more vibrant. There's also exposure, so you can play around with that. So I'll probably put that up just a tiny little touch. The temperature is cool because you can make it feel warmer or colder. So I might just make it a little warmer. Now this one's interesting here, contrast. So let's just try and add more to that, just a little bit, and see what it does. And then I'm also going to bring highlights up just a little bit. Especially down here, vibrance. That'd be really cool to play around with, but not much, just a tiny bit. And I'll press OK and we'll just see what the difference is there. So that's before and that's after. Before and after. It's pretty good. It adds a lot of clarity to it. You can really see it in the sharpening of these textures here as well. It's really bringing it out a lot more. So that's a handy little tip there. Another thing I want to just throw at you and see if you like it is I'm just putting a little stroke around her, just a black stroke. Want to know what you think about that. So before and after, I quite like it, but it's just a personal opinion. You know, you've got your own style. Your style doesn't really have outlines, slightly, but you know, I just want to know what you think about that, whether you want to have some thicker ones. Pretty cool option. I think it holds it together nicely. But yeah, your work's really amazing as it is. There we go, I've just added a casted shadow there. But yeah, I think that's about it. And I might even just do a little light glow behind her, so there you can see what I mean with that glow. So yeah, there we go. Let's have a look before and after. So before and after. I really just think the rearrangement of the setting can really help this piece a lot more. It's really just about the original setup. I like the original, but I feel like this kind of thing might just help a little bit more, make things more interesting. You get the city, kind of tells a story, you know, a little bit more. Anyway, I hope that helps, Patrick. I really love your work. The detailing that you put into your work, the effort is absolutely amazing. Really love everything about your work, so keep it up, and I hope this helps. All right, thanks. And that's it for the What If monthly project. I hope you enjoyed that one. I had a lot of fun doing those critiques. I hope that helped you guys. And if you're new to these monthly projects, feel free to join. Just jump on my Patreon at patreon.com/PatrickBrown, and you'll get access to monthly projects, tutorials, art files, and plenty more. There's art competitions. We have a lot of fun there. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next monthly project.